What's up, yo? This is Mike Burgett with Licks That Kill. Had a question for you guys. What does Michael Jackson and Metallica have in common? The blues. Believe it or not, the guitar playing and a lot of the guitar work that you hear in metal stems from the blues. In fact, just about every genre of music stems from the blues in some form or fashion. So it seemed most appropriate to go ahead and do a segment on some blues. What we're going to cover is just a simple blues to get you started fiddling around on the neck. We're going to focus primarily on the power chord and also a bar chord shape that we're not going to be playing, but we're going to be referencing so that we have a visual cue on the neck as to where we can find some notes. Let's start with the power chords. We're going to play our blues in the key of G. So we're going to start with power chord on the 3rd fret. If you're not familiar with what a power chord is, we're going to put our first finger on the 3rd fret of the low string, and then our 3rd finger on the 5th fret of the next string. And if you want, you can add your pinky behind it on the 5th fret of the string even after that, but you only need those first 2 notes. You should get a nice G power chord. In our blues uses the first chord, or at least, the typical blues uses the first chord, the 4th chord, and the 5th chord out of its respective scale. So in our case, we're going to use G. We're going to go up 5 frets to the 8th fret with the same chord. There's our C chord. And you can go up 2 more frets, and there's your D power chord. Those are the 3 chords we're going to work in. This is a basic blues in the key of G. So if we were playing it, it's just going to sound like this. Kind of get the idea. What we're going to talk about is a couple of licks that we can learn to be able to play in blues, and not just in blues in the key of G, but in blues in all keys, or at least whenever it's following this format. It expands out beyond this. The blues is not limited to this pattern. But let's talk about another chord shape. This next chord shape is not one we're going to execute in our song, so to speak, but it is one that you need to be familiar with because we're going to pull some notes out of it to make some guitar licks. The chord shape we're going to play is a G minor. This is a bar chord. The first finger is barring all the way across the 3rd fret. The 3rd finger is making a power chord on the 5th fret of the next string. The pinky is behind it on the 5th fret of the 4th string counting up from the bottom. And then the first finger is holding down the 3rd fret of the high 3 strings. And we should have... And that is a G minor chord. The significance of this is this. We've got our G power chord in there as part of that chord. And then if you go to the 3rd fret note on the G string, and then the 5th fret note on the D string, we took those 2 notes out of that G minor chord shape. Those 2 notes there, very, very bluesy sounding. Now this is still somewhat elementary, so don't get discouraged about it, but we want to get a couple of basic things in the brain first before we can start flying all over the neck. The brain needs some time to chew on it. So here's what we're after. We're going to play our appropriate chord. In this case, we're starting on G, and then we're going to add our 2 little notes. So you get something like this. Cool. If we take that whole thing that we just played and move it up 5 frets to our C that we played at the beginning and play the exact same fingering that we just played, we get another lick. It's the same fingering, but now it's played in respect to the C chord, which is very, very cool, because now in the key of G, we've got 2 licks out of one little finger shape. Let me play those 2 again. Up 5 frets. Back down to G. Up to the 10th fret for your D. Down 2 frets. Back to the G. That last little bit that we played, 3, 4, 5, 3rd fret, 4th fret, 5th fret on the A string, the 5th string, counting up from the bottom. Let me play the whole thing for you in succession so you can hear how it goes. Very cool. Licks like that you can associate with a chord go a long way in being able to play them all over the neck and play them in different keys and that sort of thing. Because at the end of the day, we don't want to learn to play blues in the key of G, because there's other keys that we could play in. What we want to do is be able to have a guitar lick that is associated with a chord. So if we find ourselves in A, we can reference that minor shape we talked about earlier, and it's those 2 middle notes in the chord that we're playing. And now you can play in any key, and this at least gets you started, gives you a little guitar lick to start messing with. Join us again. We're going to do probably two more videos on this subject and add just a couple more little licks that you can move up and down the neck that are directly related to the chord you're playing. This way you can play in multiple keys, not just in one key. Cool. Happy practicing.